regeneration approach to the environment. Now, everyone, I do assume, or most people, I assume, have heard of sustainability. Sustainability is the practice of this society, human society, economics, and environment where we try to keep what we have, such as the forest behind me. As of right now, some officers, as of myself, we're at the Mount San Antonio State Park in California, which is, where is this in? Which county? Idaho?
San Bernardino.
San Bernardino County. My apologies. In the city of Idaho, though, right? In the city of Idaho. It's probably 20 to 30 minutes south of the Indio Valley. So getting back to what sustainability is pretty much taking the forest as we have and diminishing it slowly, in terms of keeping it for our future generations. Now, the problem with sustainability is you can only do it so long until it completely stops. But there's hope for us. Now, naturally unified approaches the environment in a regenerative way so we can continue building upon it. Now, what regeneration is pretty much taking the aspects of the economy, the aspects of human society, and aspects of the environment as we have behind us, and using those three elements and rebuilding it. Now, there's many approaches of regeneration technology, regeneration farming practice, as I'll explain in this video, come to be in the next few minutes. Now, pretty much what the idea of regeneration is using the natural elements, the fire element, the water element, the ground element, the air element, and the actual earth element to build upon itself and to make more of abundance. Naturally Unified will be doing a lot of practices that will be for regeneration technology, regeneration practices, agroforestry, using sawdust as a means to produce methane for natural gas to be used to power houses and stuff like that. Greenhouses to promote abundant amounts of food at low cost. So, in this video to come, you're going to see a lot of regeneration practices that have been done and technologies that could be used cheaply to give us food and to give people on the streets food at no cost, basically. Naturally Unified will be using a regenerative approach to feed homeless people at no cost. So, with this video to come, I hope you enjoy and learn something new. Thank you.
So currently, right now, I'm at Echo Mountain in Pasadena, California, off of Lake. If you were to take the 210 going west, you were to get off Lake and drive all the way up, you'll be seeing the beautiful view. You can't see it in video, but of LA. Now, let me explain the difference between sustainability and regeneration. Sustainability is pretty much the concept of either reusing old materials to produce goods such as crops that really won't have a health effect on the environment. So, for example, you have some old wood, you make a box on top of the earth and put like some type of soil that you made through composting, through recycling leaves, through the yard, and you use that in a sustainable way. Sustainability has its limits on the environment, on social economics, and as a human society in general speaking. That sustainability can only be used in a prolonged amount of time before it can't be used anymore. For example, plastic bottles that, let's say you go to a store and you buy yourself a Coca-Cola bottle. You drink that, you recycle it. That bottle itself can only be recycled like 2 or 3 times before that material is not good anymore. And sustainability pretty much is using like old wood, making it into wood chips, compost, taking glass recycles and making it into vase bottles, and then using those crops and planting it into soil. That's sustainability. Now, in retrospect, regeneration goes much deeper. It's pretty much the same concepts of human society, human interaction, and human economics. Now, regenerative goes much more deeper than sustainability, and that when you actually do a practice of regeneration, it actually promotes health of the environment, health of the people, and health of the pocketbook. The pocketbook being the wallet, finances. Now, regeneration comes in many aspects of agriculture, of technology, and stuff like that. Regeneration pretty much is promoting the environment through practice uses, such as doing multi-cropping that will actually promote the soil of that geographic location in which we're farming at. And regeneration agriculture actually pretty much helps out the wildlife in the area, where you're not tilling the farms and everything. It actually accumulates other types of insects and pests that the birds and stuff, the wildlife could eat. Um, Going back to to sustainability, sustainability has a lot of toll on the pocketbook, meaning that, for example, recycling is not really sustainable because of the money approach that we put on it, and it's very limited.
Wow, isn't this a lovely sight? Right now, I'm with my partner in crime, Kimi, and we're at Hahamunga Park in Pasadena, California. Behind me is an ongoing project. Today is December 25th of 2019, and this is a current project that's being done at the watershed right here, or the dam in Hahamunga Park. Now, I'm talking about regeneration of natural lands, and what regeneration is restoring the soil, restoring the land, restoring the air in areas and geographic locations that have been intervened by human contact. And typically regeneration occurs when the land is degraded. Now, for example, the watershed at Hahamunga Park is being redone because of human interaction with different crops. What these crops have been doing, for example, the eucalyptus tree has been, before this was all removed, it was a bunch of eucalyptus trees, for example. And that makes it hard for native species to come and find their natural foods when a lot of these different invasive species are taking their spot. Now, regeneration, pretty much, imagine this. We start planting natural sage, natural maple trees, natural oaks, and whatnot. That will attract native species, migratory species, and it will help rejuvenate the land, because by them coming, it'll bring more biomass, fertilizer, natural fertilizer, which will then help rebuild the microorganisms within the soil. Now, with that being said, by regeneration land and stuff like that, it would make healthier air for us to breathe. It would take out more carbon dioxide from the air. It would take out more methane gas from the air. And also, by regenerating land, we're promoting more biodiversity, which will in turn, like let's say in Central California, if we were to regenerate that desert over there, it would allow us to produce more fruit and vegetables at a more efficient, at a more rapid pace, and at a lower cost. Because regeneration is pretty much the idea of using the land and the elements of our earth, wind, fire, and water, wood, as the natural elements, and keeping them together. Now, like I said earlier in this video, sustainability could only go a long way, but regeneration pretty much takes what is sustainable and makes it more. For example, a good approach, which is the next topic of this video, will be technology. And sawdust is a big topic of mine, because I do work at a recycling plant for sawdust, and something I looked into with sawdust, you could actually produce methane gas with sawdust by letting it sit and being contained in an area. Now, with that being said, we can use the sawdust as gas to power things, and after we're done with that raw material, we can use it as fertilizer. And then that fertilizer, because it's broken down, will give the right nutrients to the land. Regeneration is the new way to go.
Great day, ladies and gentlemen that have been brave enough to click on this video. It's me, Eric No, CEO or President of Naturally Unified, here in the continuation of the regeneration video. And we're going to be talking about farming practices, technology, field and education, and benefits of this new type of environmental, social, economical approach that humans should implement at this time. So, the farming practice of regeneration pretty much it focuses on the human health as well as the environmental health. And the farming practices of regenerative approaches actually more or less focus on promoting the health of the environment and to actually get it in a way where each year of production will help future years in the future to come. Now, that's one big approach for the regenerative aspect of or approach of agriculture and regeneration. And so, let me explain some few farming practices of regeneration. No-till farming and pasture cropping. What no-till farming is pretty much after a year of production, if the crop is able to grow, farmers will allow that crop to grow on that land. And by doing that, as the crop matures, it's able to provide more nutrients for microorganisms to consume. And those microorganisms, as they consume those nutrients, start producing more microbes and microorganisms, thus making the soil much better. It's pretty much like I have some herbs right here, some California white sage, some bristle sage, and some laurel sumac. If I were to want to develop that, I'll let it grow and not till the land, not pull out the roots and everything. And throughout time, the plants and the microorganisms will help promote better health for the environment and for the soil and for the air. And it's a lot cheaper doing that type of farming than other farming with or pesticides, herbicides, stuff like that. Another type of farming is organic annual cropping cycle. And that's pretty much after there's a few crops that could only live good for a year. After they reach maturity after a year, farmers will actually pull it out. And that is more or less like tilling. But that type of annual cropping actually, it doesn't degrade the soil as much. It's interesting because these are fast growing crops. Farmers use that to their benefit. As compared to like a big lower sumac tree, if you were to allow it to settle down for a couple years and tear it out, you're going to leave that soil pretty desolate. It will still be able to sustain a few things, but it won't be able to regenerate itself. Another type of approach is compost and composting. People know what compost is. It's pretty much getting like leaves, your old scrap from like vegetables, some eggshells and stuff, and you actually let it sit and decompose. Now, what compost tea is pretty much taking nutrient-rich foods like the avocado tree plant, the leaf from that, other leaves, and you let it sit for weeks, and you let those leaves and the other nutrients you put within that water, you allow it to seep into the water, and it becomes all murky and stuff like that. That's compost tea right there you just made. And when you sprinkle it on your land, oh, guarantee it, you'll have more produce next year because all that heavy nutrients, all those heavy minerals is within that tea now. So keep that in mind. Another one is biochar and terra petra. What biochar is pretty much using charcoal and mixing it in with types of soil, such as terra petra. Now, based on what I've found doing a little bit of research, terra petra is a type of like Amazonian or South American or South African type of soil that's dark and super rich in nutrients. If you were to mix biochar and that type of soil together, it's been shown to actually bring a lot of regenerative qualities, putting back more minerals, putting back more metals into the soil, actually making it where it's condensed and wet all the time, thus allowing microorganisms to flourish in that type of environment. Another type, and I'm going to go through this a lot quicker, another type of approach is holistically managed grazing, which is using animals to graze the land, and when they defecate, when they use the restroom, when they urinate, it puts back nutrients back into the soil. And that's actually, it helps regenerate soil, because as the plant rips out, or not rips out, but as it absorbs nutrients from the land, as animals graze and eat that good, grass, they digest it and they make nitrate, they make methane. That is beneficial to the environment to an extent if you don't overdo it, like we're overdoing it. It's crazy. Another type of, it's pretty much the same thing as managed grazing, is animal integration, and it's pretty much using like domesticated cows and cattle to graze the land and to help with the soil, with adding more nutrients to it as they defecate, helping keep the land pretty trimmed up, because those type of grazing animals eat a lot. So if you let them roam around, I guarantee you don't have to, pull out the lawnmower, combust some methane gas, burn some. If you can see behind me, the murkiness, you can't see behind me, but it will diminish on machinery use, and it will keep us to have better air and stuff like that. It's not amazing, and it's all these farming practices are straightforward. Ecological aquaculture is pretty much doing like getting like a fish tank, a bucket, like a 30-50 gallon bucket for live plants, and making a type of system where you have your water source in the bucket, it comes up, and then you have elevated soil bins, and pretty much as the water runs through the soil, it runs through the minerals, and it comes back down, then it goes through all these type of plants that you have, like you can have regular kale plants in there, you can have bell peppers, then you can have more aquatic plants like seaweed and algae, which is becoming more of a thing. With regenerative approach to living, should expect to see more types of like water plants being consumed, such as algae, because that's very, very quick to produce, but hit very high in nutrients. Blows your mind, right? You learn something new a day. And also another thing I forgot to mention in that type of farming practices, you have fish within the water source, and that adds the right balance of nitrates to the soils, and that's the soil as not soil, well, the soil and plants, and as the soil and plants get that, then they release carbon into the water. They release and it helps with the ammonia balance. I'll have to make a deeper video about aquaculture, because Naturally Unified really does believe that's going to be a good way to provide food at a very low cost for when we have our housing facilities. Now, perennial cropping is pretty much having like trees that bear fruit, um, oranges, apples, and letting them grow and mature. And you won't till the land, you won't mess with the soil, and it will actually regenerate itself. The moisture, the wildlife interaction, and the not actually messing with the land and letting some leaves fall, some pollen fall, will actually put more nutrients back into the soil. So you're using that land, but in perennial cropping, you're not exploiting it. You're letting nature happen. Is pretty much what perennial cropping is. Now another thing is silvopasture. What silvopasture is, it's much like managed grazing and animal integration, but you're pretty much leaving it more like a wilderness. Let's say, right now, I didn't say this, but right now I'm at Echo Mountain, Millard Canyon area in Altadena. And as I see, I have some laurel sumac, some white sage brush, and some evergreens. Now, let's say there was no roads up here and I came up here with my horse. I would come up here with a few more cattle and stuff, fence off the area and be like, okay, all my animals are able to eat anywhere I want them to eat, but I will take out this portion of the land out and add my own crops and interchange it with other types of natural growing trees and herbs like that. This is more or less like agroforestry too. And you're using the trees, the shrubs, the foliage, and grazing animals, and they all come in balance and actually help regenerate the land a lot better and to your advantage. Well, I've been talking for a good amount of time. I need to move on to the other topics. Now, agroforestry is pretty much like silvopasture, and you're pretty much allowing natural foliage, natural trees to interact with the crops that you have in choice and in mind. And now, however, this extends deeper to more of natural elements where you're not going to be using domesticated animals in agroforestry. You're pretty much going to depend all on your nature around you, in which you have chose to be the housing ground for your crops. You best believe that. Now, let's get to the next topic. Laurel sumac, that's Laurel sumac behind me, if you guys were curious. I love Laurel sumac. If I have a daughter one day, I'm going to call her Laurel sumac. You already know what I'm saying? Alright. Technology. Now, this approach to regeneration is pretty new. As I was doing research into this type of approach, it was hard to find some stuff. But I'll just give you my own ideas based on what I've done on doing research onto regenerative approaches. Now, technology for regeneration could be using compost waste from landfill, from recycled materials such as wood. Now, this landfill will be put into a spot, into a sealed spot. Let's say you have 10 acres and then you make like an 8-tank bin. You house all that decomposing stuff and you let it break down, and as it breaks down, it produces methane gas. That methane gas could be used in industrial uses, such as powering houses, such as the simple basic stuff we need to run human society, telephone lines and stuff like that. Some more technology, but it's more sustainable because let's go back to the compost. The reason why composting and using compost gas is more regenerative is because after you use the gas to power houses and stuff like that, to power satellites and stuff like that, you will be able to use the decomposed material in your garden. Isn't that amazing? Now, I keep on jumping back and forth. Let me get back to the other type of technology. Other type of regenerative technology is not very regenerative. It's more sustainable, but I'm including it in this video because I see that it does use nature to a disadvantage and it has no impact. It has positive impacts, but it has no negative impacts. And that is what regeneration is about. It's not having a negative impact on an environment. It's trying to live as a human society and at the same time progress with the environment and with human morals. But we're not doing that, really. But there's hope. All right? Look at, there's hope. So let's say you go to a nice, beautiful spot. You go to a virgin forest. Virgin forest means unadulterated. Unadulterated means left as it is. Now let's say you go to an unadulterated forest and you find a nice river. Big, nice river. Super wide, a mile wide across. And then it channels out. And it channels out into a small little stream. And that stream is very rapid because of all the force from the big lake that I just mentioned. A bright idea would be hydropower, hydrological power, where you use water turbines in a dam, or you use a windmill and you use that to power houses in a certain spot or a small town. Because we do have that type of technology, but we'll rather make the big corporations would rather make money on gas. Now, technology. Another type of technology for regeneration is pretty much using, and I saw this in a documentary, is using growing plants as an energy source. For example, in this documentary, I think it's called The Need to Grow, and it's about regeneration. I really recommend it. I don't know where you can find it, but you can find it online and probably pay for it through YouTube or something like that, through Google. But in this documentary, it was saying how there's certain greenhouses that that house algae, and as algae is growing, it has a lot of microbes and stuff like that. It has a lot of plant life that we could produce food, algae and stuff like that. But then algae that's left over, you could set aside and let it decompose and power houses and stuff like that. The only real thing I found about regeneration technology is pretty much using dead plant matter, letting it decompose in its natural way, and then using the dead leaves and stuff like that to our advantage. A part of technology is buildings. The reason why I include buildings in technology approach is because that is form of technology. The way we use technology we use technology to build houses and stuff. But this technology is more just subtle technology. It's technology at its basis. It's not live technology. And what live technology is a car. To me, that is live technology. You're able to interact with it. But buildings, in this retrospect, you cannot interact with it. So let me get into details about this. So some type of housing ways, techniques that are in the regenerative approach is, listen, look at it. Reduce glass to wall ratio. Now, if you have smaller windows and more walls for insulation, during the day, you allow your house to warm up to a nice room temperature, 72 degrees to 78, let's say, for an example. Then at night, because you don't have a lot of windows letting that hot air go out, that warm air go out, the small windows and the big surface area of insulated walls will help retain that good warm air within your house, guarantee it. Another type of building is green facades. Now what this is look into Japan and look at their new, and I think Europe does it too, like Germany, where when they build buildings, they actually make, and I know in LA, they're starting to do this, and it's beautiful, where you will have a building, and on all four sides of the building, even on the roof per se, they planted native trees or native plants to that area to help fight air pollution. And on top of that, it helps fight against heat, coldness in the house, and also against environmental damage. You know why? Because in that type of house, you have more of the roots and more of the roots and the walls, because of the iron metal plating that they're being built on, will be strong enough to sustain against winds and, let's say, some flooding to an extent. It's amazing what environments could do, or the environment could do. Another thing is natural ventilation, and that's pretty much using like the natural airs, the natural heat that's given to us, and designing the house in a way where it traps good hot air in, or it actually lets hot air out during like the summer seasons when it's super hot in the house. It'll be designed in a way where it lets all that air out without burning any gas. And the way you would do that is putting vents, like let's say at the top of your house, and then building trees around your house, and that will help ventilate your house a lot better. Another type of building approach is the use of recycled materials, reuse of recycled bottles to make new roads, recycled woods, recycled ceramics. You don't even use ceramics in housing, but recycled dry plaster and stuff like that. Recycled gravel and stuff like that. Even though this approach to buildings is more sustainable, it helps regenerate land, because if you're not pulling out minerals from a spot to get a new plaster wall, you will be able to help promote the health of that environment and what you have not infringed upon. Now, another one is daylight harvesting, and it's pretty much using solar panels and pretty much using like different types of like building structures to help get sunlight into the house and help the sunlight being transferred into usable energy. It's amazing. Now, another type of building approach is water and waste retention, and it's pretty much using like gray water, which comes from washing machines, from washed plates and stuff like that, and you're pretty much going to use the waste and dry and gray water to water your plants. Also, for example, waste, using your landfill waste that could decompose to help as to be used as nutrient soil and stuff like that. Now, another is I don't know about that, but radiate heat and cooling, heat recovery, biological human waste treatment. Now that's interesting, and we use this to this day. You best believe it. If you drink vitamin water, look where that water comes from, and it's what? A biological human waste treatment. Boy, it is osmosis. It's reversed osmosis water. All right, look it. Let me explain. I'm having fun with this video. I don't care. I'm having so much fun with this video. Okay, look it. What this type of treatment is, let's say you have sewage water, right? And let's say a big company I'm not going to say names because I could get legally in trouble because I'm representing a legal entity, naturally unified. So let's say you have a big company that's like, I need water fast. So what they start doing is, look it, they get sewage water for say. Then they let that sewage water run through some filters to help get the feces and the fecal matter and the urine, and it filters out into more refined filters and stuff like that. It gets everything out. Then they boil the water at high temperatures. They pretty much burn all the bacteria and viruses from that water out. Then they're like, what should we do with this water now? Then they start putting more minerals and nutrients back into that water. Then they add some flavoring to it. Then they add some color to it. Then they start selling it to us. I know that's pretty nasty, but if we're already doing it, we should use it to our advantage. I mean, we should do more type of recycling of human waste. Like, let's say in Pomona, there's a small garden. I'm not going to say their names because I don't know if they want to be included in this video, but they're actually using human waste in their garden. I see nothing wrong with it. I mean, we use fertilizer, which is a lot of it is from cow feces and stuff like that. Now, I'm going to end this video with one last thing. Education and pros and cons. Education, I do believe in the next few years, it's not a topic to really discuss, but you're going to start seeing regeneration being more of a thing in the next, I would say, 3 to 5 years. Because we're starting to get in that with better technology, more recycled cars and stuff like that. Now, the benefits of regeneration is manifold. First off, you have cleaner air. You won't have a lot of fossil fuels being burnt and pretty much filling our lungs with bad chemical compounds. Also, with regeneration approaches, you will have better soil and stuff like that. With better soil, you will have higher yield crops and stuff like that. You will have a healthier society. You will have healthier humans. And then the output by each human, I can guarantee, will be much better. All right? Now, also, another thing that regeneration pulls into mind, it's also cheaper in our pocketbooks. With the type of farmings in which I've mentioned, tax-paid dollars, and when you go pick up produce from the store, it will be a lot cheaper because the amount of labor and the amount of energy that was actually put into that, the amount of limited resource that was put into those crops will be a lot cheaper. So it will be cheaper for us when we consume it. Also, another thing is there will be cleaner water. Now, in the regeneration approach, by using less herbicides, pesticides, by making less acid rain from combusting stuff, such as petroleum and stuff like that, we'll have a better environment. And also, on top of a healthy environment, we'll have more land diversity. We'll have more microbes, which will in turn create more of a balanced environment. Also, with regeneration, another big thing is we'll start seeing the almost endangered, almost going extinct animals numbers going back up. I mean, we have the sources here, and we have the information here. Now it's time for the right people to send it out and start making a change. And you see, Naturally Unified takes that to heart, because we restore the land to use the given fruits to aid the unfortunate, and we take that to heart. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you can, and I'll put it in the link below, please visit our Instagram page, visit our Wix site, and please donate if you can. Donate a little bit of money. Send us an email at naturallyunifiednoncorp@gmail.com and send us like, oh, we could give you this type of recycled material, bottles, cans, and stuff like that. So please support this nonprofit and help a good cause. And also just do good, recycle at your own level, and live in peace and harmony, folks.